There. Welcome back to our read along of Anchored in the Storm. I'm author Adam Holland and am excited to be with you again. We're going to read pages 48 through 57, and this is our sixth read along of probably what will be many, many more. So it's been a joy for me, and I hope it's been a joy with you. Hope you have your book ready, or you're just going to sit back and listen. Either way, I am grateful for you, and I'm grateful you've joined this journey and read along. So, page 48, No Plague. Because you have made the Lord your dwelling place, the Most High, who is my refuge, no evil shall be allowed to befall you, no plague come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the adder, the young lion and the serpent you will trample underfoot. Psalm 91, 9 through 13. God has demonstrated in Psalm 91 the protection for those who wholeheartedly follow him and belong to him. That does not mean that your faith will not waver, but it does mean that God's presence in your life would not waver, not one bit. God's promises in verses 9 through 13 are quite remarkable. The psalmist writes, "No evil shall be allowed to befall you." And even more strongly, no plague comes near your tent. I know many of you may be thinking that a plague came near your tent, especially if you're dealing with sickness. A plague is a bad thing. It kills, it spreads, and it's relentless. God has a relentless promise that your trial is not a plague, but it is isolated in scope and purpose. You will not be utterly destroyed in this present suffering. Yes, life will change, and it may change dramatically. Know and trust that all is within His scope and His purpose. One of our limitations as people is that we are unaware of the spiritual warfare happening around us. There is no doubt that spiritual warfare is happening around you. As Job was unaware of what was happening behind the scenes of his own suffering, so we, in our own lives, are unaware of the totality of God's working and of what He may be allowing. However, we are not left unprotected. God is present with us, and in the warfare of your trial, angels are fighting alongside Him for your protection and your good. He will guard you in all your ways. Even the spiritual warfare that may be occurring around you is under His control. With God and His angels beside you, there is nothing you need to fear. And I hope you feel like you can do anything within the limits of His will, of course. God has conquered the world, and with God by your side, you share in His triumph. You will walk valiantly through this trial because the Lord will be right beside you each step of the way. Even if that means dying, you will walk triumphantly to heaven. He's already there. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town or spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. James 4:13 through 14. Tomorrow is always a daring prospect. Sometimes we face tomorrow with delight, sometimes with great anxiety. We pretend we know what tomorrow will bring, but we are unprepared for any unexpected bumps in the road. The reality for all of us is that we do not really know what tomorrow will bring. We may know bits and pieces of what may happen tomorrow, but we never truly know until we get there. There is only one who knows. It is the Lord. When I had my two brain surgeries in the summer of 2014, I was always a bit anxious the day before. I think anyone would be. Yet my pastor reminded me of something. God was already there in tomorrow's surgeries. He knew the outcome and he knew the prognosis. God does not worry because God is not constrained by time and he knows all the answers and outcomes to everything. He knows your past, your present, and your tomorrow, all at the same time. In knowing this, I am not afraid of tomorrow because I know God's already there and he is there in your tomorrow waiting for you. God is presently with you and he is preparing your tomorrow for you. You may be facing a diagnosis, a job interview, a court date, a meeting with someone who hurt you, upcoming bills, or surgery tomorrow or a week away. You worry about what's going to happen and wonder about the outcome of whatever you're facing. Take courage. As a Christ follower, you serve a God who is presently with you and is also waiting for you in your tomorrow. He knows your entire story, the beginning, middle, and the end. He has never failed you, and he never will. Think about this. God has already finished writing history. The book of Revelation, as confusing as it can be, is the end of history. God knows the end of history because he's already there, just as he is already in your tomorrow. He knows the entirety of your story while you live it out here on earth. Take heart in what Moses spoke to the people of Israel in Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them. For the Lord your God, who goes with you, he will not leave you nor forsake you. Pruned by the Master. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. On the side of my childhood home, we had a small area for rose bushes. Several times a year, my dad would prune them or cut them back. I never understood why he did this. He was taking away what seemed to be healthy parts of the plant, thereby shrinking the size of the rose bushes. Dad explained to me that pruning actually made the roses healthier, bursting with more blooms and producing a stronger, more bountiful harvest. It is the same with vineyards. The vine dresser or caretaker of the vineyard does the same thing in order to bring about a larger harvest, a tastier fruit. This passage in John 15, 1 through 17, is one of the last teachings of Jesus. He is talking to his disciple at his last meal, which we call the Last Supper. Always one who is great with his words, he says that God's relationship with us is like that of a vine dresser to his vines. There are many metaphors in this passage, but the best one to hear in our suffering is that there's purpose. Truly, we serve a God who has many purposes within each minute of our lives. Pruning roses and vines is never easy, and it is not without its pain. For us, trials are the pruning in our lives. They are part of our sanctification in Christ. He is a careful vine dresser, though, carefully pruning individual aspects of our lives. We hurt, we cry, we think it will never end. He is not haphazard about it, as some may be, slashing and hacking. No, he knows each part of our lives that he is working on, bringing about greater fruit for his kingdom. There are many purposes in pruning, and one way God prunes us is through his trials, through the trials and the sufferings of this life. He could have left you the way you were, and if you think about it, you may want him to, but he wants you to grow, to produce more fruit for his kingdom. A vine or a rose bush may grow large without pruning. It may produce fruit, but it is weak fruit, poor fruit. It is not a fruit that people want, nor is it attractive. But God didn't leave you alone. He chose you, He loves you, and He knows that pruning is the best thing for you. Under the hand, direction, and careful pruning of God, you become a better person. I pray that you will find it a joy to have the Father prune your life, as hard as it may seem. Are you willing to have the Lord work in you to create a better, more Christ centered life? Help from the Lord. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Psalm 121. When trouble arrives, where does your help come from? Where do you get advice and guidance? Is there anyone who can give you wisdom to help you navigate the maze of your life on this journey? We can find answers in this world, but those will still leave us wondering and questioning. We may get answers from doctors, employment seminars, counseling, or self help books, but do they really answer the ultimate question? Who is in control of all of this? It is a question that no matter our beliefs, our ideology, we will ask. Even if we deny it, we still wonder. So much of our world and our lives are outside our control that it makes us think that someone or something is entirely in charge. We may believe we are here by chance or that our lives are made up of random occurrences and experiences, but deep, deep within us is this hope that there is someone in control. It brings us back to the question in verse 1. From where does my help come from? From where does my help come? The psalmist answers it immediately, giving no time to look to the help of this world, and says, my help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. There is no doubt in the author's mind that it is the Lord and the Lord alone who has everything within his grasp and control. There is no other person, being, idea, or theory that creates and controls the world. It is the Lord alone. The writer then goes on to describe the Lord and his many splendid attributes, emphasizing that whatever we are in life, in the ups and downs, we may find great encouragement here. He says that the Lord is not moved by anyone or anything but himself. He does not sleep because he does not need rest. There is nothing powerful enough to exhaust him. Where you and I need constant rest and sleep, he doesn't need either. As Christ followers, we can be assured that he is our keeper, walking with us through each heartbeat of our lives. There is nothing that can hurt us without him allowing it for his greater purpose and glory. He is the one who will keep our life and preserve it until the day he calls us home. Not a day too soon or a day too late. He is personally involved in every movement and step we take. He is the preserver of life, each breath and each heartbeat. The psalmist ends by describing the length of time the Lord will be involved in your life, from this time forth and forevermore. From the beginning of your days until the end of eternity, Jesus is managing your entire life. That is a truth you can hold on to in your suffering. You play a part in his story, in redeeming his people, and giving him the glory in your life, from this time forth and forevermore. Are you looking to the Lord to answer all of your questions and doubts? Are you allowing him to guide you through the storm? Shame the strong. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. 1 Corinthians 1:27. God is always working against the world system that we know and live in. And the truth is, God does not work on our terms, but on His. And His terms are always unexpected. You and your trial have a role in the way God is working in our world. No one likes to be called foolish or weak, and I do not want to call you either one here. What I do want to call you, and I think God does too, is unexpected. Think about how God works. He is choosing those the world would never choose, so that through them He can do His mighty works. The world expects history to be made by the wise and the strong. It is natural for us to expect the wise and the strong to be in control of the world. And yet God chooses to work against the world to accomplish His purpose in the lives of people. Think about David, an unexpected choice to be king of Israel. Think about the disciples from the backwaters of Galilee, especially Peter. As a group, they were people unexpected to be closest to Jesus, chosen to work with Jesus for 3 years to build Christ's church all around the world. Think about Esther and how God used her to save the Jewish people. Or think about Moses, for that matter, leading the Jews to the promised land. Lastly, think about Jesus. Yes, He is God, but consider where His earthly family was from. Nowhere Nazareth. From the middle of nowhere came the Savior of the world, completely unexpected. These people were never expected to amount to much except Jesus, and God did not choose them because of their capability or incapability. So why did God choose them? Why did He choose you? Would you be offended if I said that He chose you not because of you, but because of Him? Regardless, He did. He chose your trial uniquely for you because of the work He can do in and through your circumstances. All He asks from you is a willingness to follow Him wherever He desires. God is going to work in your life whether you want Him to or not. Willingly walking with Him down the paths of His choosing, though, is one of the most astounding journeys you could ever take in this life. It is not logical at all, but God doesn't work according to human logic. Remember, whenever you feel weak or that you don't fit in anywhere, you can trust that God has great plans to use you in His kingdom and for His glory. You are the unexpected person that God is going to use to change a person's life or to possibly change the world. Until next time, know that you are greatly prayed for, greatly loved, and greatly appreciated. Blessings on you. See you next time.